Well, students, good evening to all of you. So, guys, today we will discuss the topic learning and theories of learning, right? So, this is the B.Ed class, and you know that in this course you have the two theories, right? Trial and error theory, and second is classical conditioning theory, right, guys? So, today we will discuss two theories. Okay. So, first, I tell you, you know from your syllabus, so you know that side by side whatever we are finishing, hana, we are underlining this topic we have done. So guys, you can see that paper 1 and paper 3 is going on, right? This is the paper 1 red part we have finished. Okay, growth and development, characteristics and stages of adolescents and need and adolescents. Next unit third में intelligence, last lecture I took of intelligence, two theories, intelligence, and two theories, Spearman theory and Thurston theory, and applications of intelligence test. Okay, the missing was measurement of intelligence, right? We'll do in the next lecture. But in today's lecture, like I want to tell you, we are, discussing the lecture from the paper 3, which is learning and teaching. Okay. So under the learning and teaching, you can see that under the unit 3, teaching concept, characteristics, features, and levels of teaching, we are done. And under a unit 4, phases of teaching, we are done. So guys, again, I tell all of you, please, you should have a syllabus. Okay. You can, download from my Telegram channel, or you can directly, ask from me for the syllabus, right? So you should know, okay, which topic is going to be discussed, right? So today we are discussing the unit 2 topic, right? You can see that under a unit 2, paper 3, learning and teaching, theories of learning. Hana, it is written, na, theories of learning. Please see it. Okay. So there are 3 or 4 theories are in your syllabus. Okay. So please read all the theories. Okay. Number 1 is connectionism theory. This is called trial and error theory. It is given by the Thorndike, American psychologist. He has given the theory, trial and error theories, right? Concept, law of learning, and educational implications. Today we will discuss. As well, we will discuss the second theory. The name of second theory is conditioning theory. Okay. And it was given by the Ivan Pavlov, right? Who was a Nobel Prize winner, right, guys? You should know the name. Okay. Classical conditioning. Third theory is a operant conditioning. It was given by the Skinner, B.F. Skinner, right? It's a, big name in the, educational process, right? In the teaching learning process. So again, conditioning theory and operant conditioning theory. Okay, these are two different words. Conditioning and operant. T. Okay, last is T. Operant conditioning. Conditioning theory is given by Ivan Pavlov. Operant conditioning is given by Skinner. Okay, we'll discuss the concept, characteristics, and educational implications. Okay, 3 theories. 4th theory is social constructivist theory. It was given by Vygotsky. Okay, and Bandura. Oh, dekho, it is written. Vygotsky and Bandura. Concept, nature, and educational implications. Right. So 2 theories we are discussing today. Rest of 2 in the next lecture. Right. So what the 2 theories we are discussing? Trial and error theory or classical conditioning. Huh? Now you have come to know it is from paper 3rd. Okay, guys. So I'm going to close this syllabus PPT and going to open today's lecture. So okay, guys, today we'll discuss the theories, learning and theories of learning, trial and error theory, and classical conditioning, right, guys? So first I start my lecture with the learning. What do you understand by learning? So learning, guys, learning is said to be equivalent to change, modification, development, improvement, and adjustment. It is a lifelong process. Okay. So please stop here for a moment, okay, and think that. What is a learning? You all are going to become teacher, right? The purpose of teacher, the duty of the teacher is to rouse the learning power of the student, right? To make the student, enable the student so that he or she can understand all the things, and she should be able to learn all the things by himself or herself. So learning means from a learning, you can evaluate from your teaching also, because the meaning of a learning is said to be equivalent to change, modification, development, improvement, and adjustment. So guys, agar if you are teaching to the student, and if there is a change in the student, if there is a development in the student, if there is an adjustment in the student, then you can say that your teaching is successful. Okay. Because some author have said that there is no teaching if there is a no modification in the behavior of the student. Okay. If you are delivering a lecture, 1 hour lectures, you have prepared well. Okay. Your communications level is well. Your knowledge is well. You have the mastery over the particular topic, but there is no change of the student. There is no development in the students. Then your teaching is zero. Okay. Your teaching is big zero. The meaning of teaching is there should be a learning. Okay. If you are teaching, naturally, the result would be a learning. Okay. Please remember the definition of a B.O. Smith. What the B.O. Smith has said. Teaching, about teaching. Teaching is a system of activities that induce learning. Got it? And what is learning? Learning means change. Learning means modifications of the behavior among the students, right? So it starts from the day when a child is born, and it continues up to his death. Gates. What the Gates has said about the learning is a modification of behavior through experience and training, right, guys? So a little bit we discuss factors influencing learning. So guys, these are the factors. Okay, they influence the learning. Okay. So, this topic we will do in detail, but little bit you can understand here, because I have started learning and its theories. Okay. You should know what are the factors that influences the learning, that impacts the learning. So psychological factors हैं, physiological factors हैं. What are the psychological factors? Maturations, attitude and aptitude, motivation, memory, goal, intelligence, readiness, capacity, attention, mental health, will, mental fatigue. है ना? First आप देखिए, A point, psychological factors, 12 factors are written. Okay. So guys, you should know these all factors affects the learning, right? See the second one. What is second one? Readiness. So this is your duty to make the ready to the student. If student is not ready, how you can teach and what you are teaching? If the student is not ready, please make the student ready first. Before this, I was asking some of the questions from you, right? Hana, you have seen that. Hana, that was, offline. Hana, on the Zoom, I was asking from the questions. So what I'm doing that? Okay. What I'm doing that? My purpose is to, make you ready for the lesson. So whenever you have to teach, make the student ready from any of the, any of the techniques, any of the, activities, capacity, attention and interest. Make the, student interest in the class, right? So, some are the, motivations, memory, goal, intelligence. So that's why you should have knowledge of this. We will discuss in details, all the things. Physiological factors, food and nutrition, okay, drugs. That's why there is a, food, nutrition, there is a break in the schools. You have seen that because it also affects on the learning. Physical fatigue, physiological, good physical health, age, and some environmental factor influencing the learning. Task factor, method. Okay, task factor dekho and method dekho, sometimes whole and part method. Practice learning by doing. Okay, so sometimes, from your lecture also, because your method of teaching is not good. So it influences the learning of the student. Student is not getting learn. Might be reason that your method is not good. right? So teacher related factor ये देखो, method of teaching, maxims of teaching, okay? Because on each topic na there is a big lecture, huh? Right? So here in a brief we are just understanding that, okay? But some we have already finished, methods of teaching, maxims of teachings, right? Atmosphere and working conditions, organizational setup. Okay, these are some of the factors that affects the learning, right? Now we come on to the today's topic, theories of learning, trial and error theory, which was given by the Thorndike, right, guys? So first we understand little bit history of that theory. Okay, so the name of this theory is trial and error theory, number one. Okay, second name आपको याद रखना है, this is also called the connectionism theory. Okay, so pleasure and pain theory, also it is called SR theory, stimulus response theory, and the bond theory of learning. Okay, so it was developed by the American psychologist E.L. Thorndike in 1898. It is also called the pleasure and pain theory, stimulus response theory, and bond theory of learning. Okay. So according to the Thorndike, see the third point. According to the Thorndike, learning takes place through trial and error method. Thorndike conducted many experiments on the rats, on the cats, dogs, fish, and concluded that we learn each and everything by making mistakes and errors. See that I have little bit, I have increased the size and underlined making mistakes and errors. Okay, trial and error. This is a theory given by the Thorndike. According to the Thorndike, learning takes place by making mistakes and errors. Well, then students learn. Thorndike wants to say. Next, fourth one, when we begin to learn anything, there may be many errors, but as the number of trials goes on increasing, the errors goes on decreasing. So we can conclude that we learn from making mistakes and errors. Okay, definitely starting maybe we will do a lot of mistakes, huh? So then what happens? According to the Thorndike, when we will go the same practice again and again, then what will happen? The day would come, we will learn immediately. For example, you want to learn how to drive a car, right? So in starting you will do a lot of mistakes, but the day would come, the time would come, okay, you will become expert, right? So in starting we do a lot of mistakes according to the Thorndike, right? So that's why this theory name is trial and error theory. We trial means try, we try, we do error, then we learn the things, right? So some of the principles and assumptions of that theory. So according to the Thorndike, what are the assumptions? Learning involves trial and error or selections and connections. There is a connections between the number of trials you are doing that, right? Learning is the result of formations of connections, right? Now वो connections हैं, वो जो गलती हैं, now you are forming that in your mind. It is happening in your mind. Okay. Learning is a incremental, not insightful. Okay. ये यहाँ पर ये important है, यहाँ पे आपको you have to note it. Okay. Because other authors, okay, they will say something else, right? Different from the Thorndike. But according to the Thorndike, if the questions come of a Thorndike, then you have to write. Okay. According to the Thorndike, learning is a incremental, not insightful. Okay, why it is not insightful? Because he was a behaviorist. When the behaviorism came, so he was a behaviorist. He comes in the list of a behaviorist. Okay, where the name of a big name comes Watson, right? Thorndike, right? So learning is direct, not mediated by ideas. Okay, so naturally, according to Thorndike, he has said that not insightful, so not by the ideas. Learning requires both practice and rewards. Okay, a series of, next is a series of SR, stimulus response. Okay, this thing you have to remember. Trial and error means stimulus response. a series of SR connections can be chained together if they belong to the same action sequence. Transfer of learning occurs because of the previous encountered situation. And last, intelligence is a function of the number of connections learned. Right? तो ये principles आपको ऐसे ही याद करने हैं. Right? Up guys, next is one, little bit history we have come to know about trial and error. Second is assumptions we have done. Now, okay, what we have to learn, one experiment, okay, experiment by the Thorndike. And fourth is 3 laws of learning. It is in your syllabus, okay. Laws of learning, 3 laws: law of readiness, law of exercise, law of effect. And in last, we'll discuss educational implications of this theory. Okay, so now little bit history we are done, principles, assumptions we are done. Now we discuss one experiment which will justify the statement of a Thorndike: learning takes place by making mistakes and errors. Okay, we learn by errors. Okay, so guys, this is the experiment. So what the Thorndike did, he put the cat in a one box, one puzzle box. You can see that in a puzzle box, in a cage. You can say that cage, puzzle box, any of the name. Okay, so this is called puzzle box cat experiment by Thorndike. So what happened? You can see that there is a one door, Hana, to come out from the cage, yeah, from the puzzle box. Okay, so what the Thorndike did it? So first I tell you about the experiment, right? So Thorndike put a hungry cat into the puzzle box. Okay, so naturally, she was hungry, right? For a 6 hours and up to the 8, 10 hours, 12 hours. Okay, she was hungry. So what happened after that time? What the Thorndike did? Thorndike placed a food. You can see that the food, a fish inside the cage. Okay, now what happened? The cat was hungry. Already she was hungry. So she started to come out of the cage. Right? So what the cat has done, Thorndike has elaborated. You can see that. Right? What the cat stimuli inside of the puzzle box. When the fish was placed in the front of the hungry cat, so the cat wanted to come out of the cage and she started scratching the bar, pushing her head to the seal, dig at the door, starting hole, etc. Press. Ultimately, these all the functions the cat started, right? Because she was hungry. Okay, and fish was placed inside the cage. Okay, then cat started come out of the cage and she started putting his head into the bar, and each and everything she started doing such kind of a thing. Guys, what happened? So no, when the cat was doing these all the things, immediately what happened? The paw of the cage comes on the bar. Means there was a one bar inside the puzzle box. Okay, so when the paw came out of the panja, billi ka panja, when the paw came out of the bar, this one, you can see that red one, right? So what happened? The door opened, right? So then what happened? Cat came out of the cage and got the reward, right? So this was the experiment. Next in second experiment, the same experiment did the Thorndike again, right? The cat was hungry up to the 10 hours or 12 hours. Okay, he put the cat into the puzzle box, right? Then after 10 hours or 12 hours, after a one day, he placed a one fish near the cage. Then again in the second experiment, cat started to come out of the cage and she started heading the bar, each and everything, she did that. These all the actions now, you can see that Thorndike described. This is called the stimulus inside of the puzzle box. Okay, scratching the bar, pushing the seal, dig at the door. Okay, so ultimately what happened? Again, what happened? Suddenly her paw came out of the lever and the door opened. Cat came out of the cage and put her reward. So similarly, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So, what happened in the, seventh or eighth experiment? Now the cat has come to know that this is a lever, okay, to, come out of the cage. So, what happened when the, fish was placed inside of the cage? So cat put the paw directly. Now she is not doing anything. Okay, she is not putting her head into the bar, scratching. These all things cat is not doing, because previous 5 or 6 experiments she has done these all the things. Now the cat has come to know that this is the lever. Basically, we have to, press the lever. So immediately, cat pressed the lever, door opened, cat came out of the cage and got the reward. Now the cat has become expert. How she has become expert? By doing lot of mistakes, right? That's why Thorndike said that, we learn by making mistakes, because learning theories, given by the Thorndike. Okay, you can see that one more picture. Ye dekhiye, right? In the first picture, food was placed. Okay, ye dekhiye, cat first, directly, paw ke through, she started to get the food, but she didn't get the success. Then, she doing all the things, and ultimately in the fourth figure, you can see that. Okay, ultimately, she pressed the lever, and, door opens, and cat comes out of the cage and got the reward. You can see that, right? So up now, this is the experiment. You have come to know that, okay, now, in the seventh or eighth experiment, cat has trained. Okay, we have to, cat has come to know that pressing the lever and come out of the cage. Now, within a second, she came out of the cage. So cat has learned because of, trials, many trials and many errors. That's why this theory, Thorndike has given the name trial and error theory. Okay. So guys, now, what we have to understand, this is the most important factor involved in the trial and error, number one. Second, we have to understand laws of learning. And third, we have to understand educational implications. Right? Okay, through the experiment, we have come to know, that was a simple experiment, right? Easy, we can learn it. Okay, and we can narrate over there in the exam also. But more emphasis, you have to talk about factors involved in trial and error, laws of learning, and educational implications. Okay, so what are the factors in the trial and error? Number one is a motive or drive, right? Motive and drive. This is the most important. In the present experiment, drive or motive was hunger, right? You know how you are learning, because you know that you have to clear the B.Ed. If there is a no motive, you know that without the B.Ed, now you cannot enter into the college, because B.Ed has become mandatory. 10 years before it was not. 10 years before, you can, directly join any of the school. But now the inspection has started. New policy has come, right? A lot of inspections are going on. Okay, and you know that if I have to go into the teaching line, then I have to do B.Ed, right? So this is your motive, or this is your drive. This is called hunger. So guys, whenever you have to teach to the student, so first create the hunger, right? First create the motivation. Okay, make the student ready to learn. Hana, just we are discussing, making the student ready to learn. Okay, motive or drive. Second is a stimulus. Are you are teaching to the students to directly, you are thinking that, students' mind is a, dustbin where you are putting everything. They are the human beings. They can learn by themselves. What is your work? Your work is to, you know, your work is to brush up their skills, brush up their learning powers, make the student, enable the student so that they could learn by themselves. Okay. Second is a stimulus or goal. अब present the goal in front of the student. देखो side by side ना, मैं आपको समझा भी रहा हूं, right? The concept behind it. Okay. So Thorndike, experimented on the cat. Okay. So in this, okay, Thorndike is telling each and everything regarding during that experiment. But under the educational implications, we have to write these all things, which I'm comparing with you. Okay. Stimulus or a goal. In the present experiment, food or fish, it was the stimulus. To get the food by getting out of the box is the goal. So guys, give stimulus in the class in front of the student. Stimulus can be anything. Okay. You can give stimulus to the student. You can say that, okay, students, when you will come preparation this topic tomorrow, I will give you one chocolate, one book, one pen. Okay. Even, my dear students, when you smile in the class, when the student is giving the answer to you and you are smiling that, okay, for example, the name of the student is Neha, Amit, Shubham, you say that, okay, Neha, you are correct. Okay, Amit, you are correct. Okay, you are naming to the student and you are smiling in the class. This is also called a, reward for the student. Okay. Responses. Number of varied types of responses like scratching, pulling, hitting her head. Responses lead to the goal known as satisfying responses. The response which do not lead to the goal known as annoying responses. So what happened? Bloke. The cat was confined in the box with a closed door. Random movements. Okay, so you know that, she started the random movement. Chance success. As a result of a random movements, cat by chance succeeded in opening the door. Here, by chance, she succeeded. But selection, gradually cat recognized the correct way to manipulate the latch or lever, right? So fixation, last factors involved in this theory. At last, I have increased the size and underlined. At last, cat learned the proper way to open the door by eliminating all the incorrect responses and fixing only the right response. Right, guys? So these all the things, factors, motive, stimulus, response, block, random movement, chance success, selections, and fixations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Ye 8 factors हैं, you have to learn. Okay. When this theory comes, right? Next, 3 laws of learning. Okay, law of readiness, law of exercise, law of effect, right? This is a very simple, because we have done the experiment. We know that law of readiness. Okay, first of all, we have to ready to the student to learn. Okay, but according to this theory, law of readiness means a preparation of action. It is also called the law of action tendency. According to this law, when we are ready to learn, we learn more quickly, right? So ye law Thorndike has giving you. Thorndike is giving you law of readiness. First, make the student ready to learn, because when we are ready to learn, we learn more quickly. Okay, don't do that. Come in the class and start, teaching to the student, pouring into the mind of the student. Okay, do something activities. Okay, ask the questions, do the debate. Okay, so that student should come in the class first. Okay, guys. So when we're ready to learn, we learn more quickly, effectively, and with greater satisfaction than when we are not ready to learn. Okay. So just see in the class. When the class is ready to learn, then give your lecture. Okay. Second is law of exercise. Means you don't have to teach according to your way. You have to teach according to students' way. You don't have to teach because you want to teach. You have to teach because student wants to learn. Okay. Means you have to teach according to the interest of the student. You have to teach according to the aptitude, attitude of the student. Okay. According to the students, then only they can learn, guys. Okay. This is called law of readiness. Law of exercise, also called the law of practice. Now, practice makes a man perfect. This law is also known as law of practice. Practice makes a man perfect. Law of exercise, that organism learns as a result of repeated trials, practice and exercise. Organism में आ गए ना सारे, cat, rat, dog, and we also, है ना, organism. So we learn by how we learn. We learn by making mistakes, trials, errors, right? Exercises, right? Third is a law of effect, also called the law of pleasure and pain. This law is called the law of pleasure and pain, or law of satisfaction and annoyance. Every activity has its effective tone. Some activity ends in a satisfaction, pleasure, and others ends in pain, right? So these, naturally it happens now. Some activities we learn with, pleasure, we learn end up with the pain. Okay, so these are the three laws of learning. And in last, we'll understand the educational implication, which is most important. Okay. So guys, if the question comes, at least 50-60%, you have to talk about the educational implications, even all the theories. Okay. Last, we did it. In the last lecture, we did the theories, trials, intelligence. Okay. So educational implications of, these all the theories. What are the educational implications, right? So this is the most important in the B.Ed M.Ed class. So what is the educational implications of a trial and error? Number one is readiness is the preparation for actions, right? So actually, when I was discussing the factors involved in the trial and error, Hana, side by side, I was discussing these all the things, educational implications, right, guys? So that's why I'm moving, little bit fast. Readiness is the preparation for actions. Hana, you know that. Hana, ready karna first. You have to make the student ready to learn. Second, it is a very essential for the teacher to see that the child is ready to learn more quickly, effectively, with greater satisfaction when he is ready to learn. Third is, the teacher should also make an attempt to motivate the student by arousing their attention, interest, and curiosity. This is the most important, guys. If you don't know now how to develop how to arouse the attention, interest, and curiosity among the student, then I'm very sorry to say that you are not a teacher. Okay, you are just wasting the time of the student. You should know that how to arouse the attention of the student, interest of the student, curiosity of the student. You can only do when you are a good learner, right? Every day you are learning. Because if you're not learning, you can't become a teacher. So the purpose of teaching is, you have to make your mind as a learner. Okay. Only then you can come to know these all the things. And this is B.Ed is a teaching methodology. B.Ed, we are discussing this is basically a psychology, educational psychology, right? Next, second paper, we'll do the education. Third paper, learning and teaching. So, in a B.Ed, we learn these all the teaching methodology. Basically, in a B.Ed, we do that. We learn that how to teach to the student. Okay. So you can't say, guys, after doing the BA, MA, MSc, MCom, or even the PhD, okay, you can't say that you have become a good teacher if you don't know the teaching methodology, right? So the law next is the law of effect emphasizes the role of reward and punishment, right? So yahan par here, Thorndike is talking about the punishment. Okay. But when we'll do the another theory so wahan pe there is a different things. Okay. So but here he is talking about punishment also. Okay. Why he is talking about the punishment? Because he was a behaviorist basically, right? Actually, 1920, 1898, he gave the theory in 1898. American psychologists are. So around 1900 to 1960 or 70, right? Up to 60 year or 70 years ये जो behaviorists थे, actually इन्होंने पूरा राज किया दुनिया पे, right? Because wherever you can see that in India, in abroad also. Okay, so these theories are, these theories were the part of the curriculum. Okay, so they were the behaviorist. They talked about the reward and punishment. They talked about the stimulus and response. They talked about, get the stimulus from the environment. Environment se stimulus pakdo from the environment and give to the student. Student will give the response. So, we are successful, right? Even punishment, when we'll give the punishment, so, student because of the fear, है ना, he will start learning, right? So he was a behaviorist. So Watson बहुत बड़ा नाम है, right? Watson हो गया plus ये Thorndike हो गया. So these were the behaviorists. That's why they talked about, punishment up to the 1960 and 70, right? So because that was a period of the behaviorism. Okay, what happened after the 1960? The period of cognitivism came, right? So cognitivism rejected the behaviorism, right? No need of a punishment. Start teaching from the student. Okay, they talked about, in the next theory we'll discuss. Okay, so reward and punishment. Next, practice leads a man towards maturity. Habits are formed as a result of repetition. The teacher can improve his teaching method making use of this theory. Right, guys? So thank you so much, guys, for this theory, trial and error theory. Right? So under this, what we have done first, little bit history of that theory. You should know that, Thorndike gave this theory, trial and error theory. I'm evaluating the third phase of teaching, right? With what you have to learn it. First of all, you should know that, trial and error theory given by the, Thorndike in 1898, called the pleasure and pain theory, stimulus response theory, bond theory of a learning. Okay. Then you have to explain about the experiment. Okay. Then in detail, you have to talk about factors involved learning, and in again in the more detail you have to talk about educational implications of this theory. This question always come. Okay, so next theory we are going to start, this is called the conditioning theory, right? It was given by the Ivan Pavlov. He was also behaviorist. Okay, Watson, Ivan Pavlov, Thorndike, so they were the behaviorists. Regarding, I have told you, and I have talked about you regarding the time between 1900 to 1960, 1970. After the 1970, cognitivism came, right? So, wo jo theories hai, these are the, theories that talked about, insightful, है ना? They talked about. Okay. So, classical conditioning, this is in your syllabus of the B.Ed. Classical conditioning theory, we are going to start the second theory. So under this theory, the same thing we will do. First, meaning a little bit history of classical conditioning, number one. Second, assumptions, है ना? जैसे trial and error में we did it. Third, experiment. Fourth, model of classical conditioning. And fifth is educational implications. Okay. So we start with the classical conditioning theory. So classical conditioning theory, basically, it was developed by Russian physiologist cum psychologist Ivan Pavlov during the late 1920s. Right? This theory is also known as Pavlovian conditioning theory, conditioned response theory, CR theory. वो क्या थी? SR, stimulus response. ये क्या आ गई? CR, conditioning response theory. Right? Conditioned reflex theory and respondent conditioning theory. Okay. So, दो तीन names है, you have to learn it. So, according to the Ivan Pavlov, learning takes place by conditioning. यहाँ पे this thing is the most important. Please underline it and write it and learn it. Pause this video and learn again. According to the Ivan Pavlov, what the Ivan Pavlov has talked, he talked about learning takes place by conditioning. Okay. And immediately you have to compare, when you are talking about learning takes place by conditioning, you have to think what the Thorndike said. Thorndike said, under the trial and error, learning takes place by making trials and errors. Okay. Here he is talking about learning takes place by conditioning. Condition the student. Okay. So now we have to understand what is conditioning. Conditioning means getting the original response. Getting the original response by making a artificial stimulus. What is conditioning? Conditioning means, it is here is written, conditioning means association of a original response by artificial stimulus. Right? Getting the original response by giving the artificial stimulus. Right? assumption. What are the assumptions of that theory? According to this theory, behavior is learned by repetitive associations between the response and the stimulus. Right? इसने भी वही बात की है. Learning is developed through the interactions with the environment. Okay. Next, environment shapes the behavior and internal mental state and does not take account any independent activities of the mind like thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So guys, here you have to underline, okay? So Ivan Pavlov basically rejected what he has rejected. He rejected there is no role of a thought, feeling, emotions, and any internal state of mind because he was a behaviorist na. That's why na I told you na 1960-70 na यही बात होती थी condition response, right? Stimulus response. But after 1970, you know what happened? You know, the era of cognitivism came. Okay, they all talked about the thoughts, feelings, emotions, internal state of a mind that play a major role in the learning. Okay, so Ivan Pavlov, Thorndike, Skinner, Watson, they were all behaviorists, right, guys? So what they said that environment shapes the behavior and internal mental state. Okay, so behaviorism, according to ये देखो behaviorism का little bit मैंने डाल दिया है. Okay, so I have already discussed. Okay, that's why I'm coming directly on the Pavlov experiment on dog, right? So again, to prove his theory, okay, Ivan Pavlov experimented on dog beforehand. Then he talked about, after the experiment, he talked about, okay, learning takes place by conditioning. Okay, so how? Okay, you can see that. ये देखो पढ़ो इसको. Ivan Pavlov conducted an experiment on the dog. What he said it, he did it. He used to ring the bell before giving the food to the dog. He repeated this activity for several days under the similar conditions. Okay, well, a dog was hungry and he put the one bell, when one bell before giving the food. When the food was placed before the dog, the bell was rung. The saliva would secrete in the mouth of the dog. Okay, right, guys? So you can see in the picture also. Okay. Oh, okay. Now you can see this picture. Now this is a very clear picture. You can see that. But the Ivan Pavlov did that. Okay. Malab he put the dog. Okay. So what happened? Before giving the food now, so first of all, he put the one bell in the neck of the dog. So, first he, before giving the food, he used to ring the bell. Okay. When the bell was rung, then the food was placed. So what happened? The dog started secreting the saliva. कोई मिठाई विठाई या खाना वाना आ जाए, सपोज हम बड़े भूखे हैं, है ना, काफी देर से हमने ओके कुछ नहीं खाया, तो एकदम से खाना आ जाए तो हमारे मुंह में जैसे सलाइवा आ जाता है, राइट? तो सिमिलरली व्हाट हैपेंड, तो व्हेन द फूड वाज प्लेस्ड इन फ्रंट ऑफ द डॉग, तो डॉग स्टार्टेड secreting द सलाइवा. अब टू मेजर द सलाइवा, यू कैन सी दैट इवान पेवलव ने देयर वाज ए आप ये देखो, फ्रॉम द नेक ऑफ द डॉग ना, यहां से he put a one pipe. From the pipe, saliva is coming in the bottle. वो देखो नीचे, on the bottom. Bottom is the bottle. Okay. So when the food was placed and bell was rung, before the food was placed, okay, dog started secreting the saliva and saliva was coming from the pipe to the bottle. And every day, Ivan Pavlov, he measures, amount of the saliva. Now you can see that. राइट? ये ऑब्जर्वेशन स्क्रीन है कंटेनिंग द मीट, ये मीट है, ओके, फूड है, एंड दिस इज ए रिवॉल्विंग ड्रम फॉर रिकॉर्डिंग रिस्पॉन्सेज, डिवाइस टू काउंट ड्रॉप्स ऑफ सलाइवा, ये ट्यूब है फॉर कलेक्शन ऑफ द सलाइवा, ये पाइप से ही आ रही है, राइट? सो बैक ऑफ द स्लाइड. ओके, सो आफ्टर सम डेज, ये underlined part I'm reading. After some days, it was observed that only the bell was rung the food was not placed, but the saliva started secreting. You know what happened? Try to understand. In the first stage, what happens? The food was placed in front of the dog, but before placing the food, the bell was rung and dog started secreting the saliva. In the second movement, what happened? Thorndike saw them minutely. What happened? Only the bell was rung and food was not placed, but dog is starting the secreting the saliva, right? So after some days, it was observed that only the bell was rung. The food was not given, but the saliva started secreting. It means the natural response, original response aa gaya na? It means the natural response or original response. Saliva was obtained by artificial stimulus. What is artificial stimulus? Bell. This is meaning of a conditioning. That's why Pavlov named this theory as a theory of a conditioning. So what is conditioning? When I ask from you, you have to say, sir, conditioning means getting the original response from the student by giving the artificial stimulus. Now after some days, Pavlov saw that, it was observed that only the bell was rung, but the food was not placed, but the saliva started secreting. It means, we are getting the natural response, which was saliva, from by giving the artificial stimulus, which was bell, instead of giving food. And Pavlov named this theory as a theory of conditioning. Okay. So now you have understood, about it. Next we move. Okay, models of a classical conditioning, और उसके बाद है educational implications. ठीक है? अब try to understand this model. Okay. तो ये 1 2 3 4 5 four things now you have to note it. Okay. UCS UCR, UCS plus CS, फिर UCR. In the third stage, CS CR. Okay. First, isko samjho. What is it? US means unconditioned stimulus. Okay. UCS, unconditioned stimulus, which was food. And what is UCR? Saliva, unconditioned response. Right? Ab CS, meaning of CS is conditioned stimulus, which is bell. And CR, conditioned response, which is saliva. Okay. Now you have come to know, what is the meaning of that? UCS, UCR, CS, and CR. Because when, I'll discuss point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. Okay. I'll talk about UCS and UCR. Okay. So first of all, okay, you should have clear in your mind. When I'm naming UCS, it means unconditioned stimulus. And UCR means unconditioned saliva. Right? CS means conditioned stimulus and CR means conditioned saliva. Okay. Now look at the first point. First, all of you, look at the first point. Right? When there is a UCS, the result would be UCR. Okay. Unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response. Unconditioned stimulus was food. Naturally, when the food will come in front of us, and naturally the saliva would come. Okay. So food is coming, saliva is coming. UCS result in UCR. Unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response. Means there is no conditioned, there is no response. Right? Unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response. Okay. Now see the second one. Now with the UCS, CS has added conditioned stimulus. Right? Food is giving, but before the food is giving, only for you can see 5 or 6 seconds before, right? The bell was rung, right? Ab UCS plus CS, a bell was rung immediately after the 5 second or 7 second or 8 second, food was giving to the dog. So what is happening again? UCR, saliva is coming. Okay. In the third experiment, what happened? अब क्या हो गया? फूड को निकाल लिया गया, right? Food was not placed. Only the bell was rung. Now the bell has become conditioned stimulus. Right? Now, when the conditioned stimulus is given, dog already has trained, because he has come in the mind that when the bell was rung, the food would come. Now the food is not coming. Okay. But due to the conditioning, he started secreting saliva and naming that conditioned response. Similarly, guys, here you can condition your student. Okay. But you should know the, different techniques, how to condition the students. Right. So this is teaching basically. Are you getting my point? This is a teaching basically. Teaching doesn't mean be looking from the book and putting into the mind of the student. हो गया जी syllabus खत्म करवा दिया. This is the teaching basically. How you have to condition your student, how you have to stimulate the learning power of the student, how you have to, draw out best from the mind of the student. You will come to know only when you will learn these all theories, these all philosophy, these all educational psychologies, teaching learning methods. Okay, that's why this is called the teaching methodology. Now, guys, you have come to know that, okay, without beard or, without such kind of a course, when, such kind of a student start teaching, so actually, guys, they are basically cheating to the students. Okay, because result is not coming and they are blaming to the student. So student, that's why I always say that student is never ever weak. Never ever weak on this planet. Only the fault of the teacher. Right? So model ho gaya aapka. Last educational implications. This is the important, guys. Okay. And you have to elaborate this thing more and more. Educational implications of any of the theory. Okay. Ye dekho ab fear, love, hatred towards specific objects are created through conditioning. For example, a math teacher will his or her defective method of teaching and improper behavior in the classroom may be disliked by the learner. And actually, the learner develops hatred towards math teacher due to the teacher's behavior. Got it? Math is not a weak. Basically, we talk generally we talk that math is weak. Every you talk about the 10 students, out of a 10, you will come to know that 8 bolenge, math is always weak. They fear from the maths. Basically, math is not weak. Okay. So basically, what is the weak point? A weak point is defective method of teaching and improper behavior in the classroom may be disliked by the learner. No subject is weak. Every subject is interested, right? But only, there should be expert teacher. There should be a skilled teacher. Okay. He can make the boring subject into a, good subject. He can create the interest among the student. The second educational implication is the good method and kind treatment a teacher can bring desirable impact upon the learner. The learner may like the boring subject because of the teacher's rule. Okay. Third line, मैंने underline कर दी है. Naturally, it would be important. See it. Teachers should know how to motivate their students to learn. ये देखो, बड़ा important है. When you are sleeping in the night, you should have in the mind, I have 40 students in my class. You should know the name. You should know the mental level of the student. How to teach to the student. This thing you should have in your mind. Teachers should know how to motivate their students to learn. They should be versatile with various strategies that can enhance effective participation of the students in the teaching learning activities. In order to break habits, the teacher needs to lead an individual to make a new response to this same old stimulus. Teach students to generalize and discriminate appropriately. Right? Poor performance on one assignment, it doesn't mean that student is poor. Okay? It can be सिक्के के दो पहलू होते हैं ना. There are two sides of the coin. If the student has got a poor performance in a one test, you can't blame the student is weak. Okay. So, there are, some other problems also on the side of the teacher also. Right. So, okay, guys, thank you so much. So we have done, two theories today. Right. So little bit we discuss, what we have learned today, under this theory. conditioning theory. Meaning and classical conditioning theory we have come to learn. Conditioning theory is given by the Ivan Pavlov. Okay, this is called Pavlovian theory of learning, right? And according to the conditioning, by giving the artificial stimulus, we can get a original response. Assumptions we have come to know: Pavlov experiment on the dog, models, वो 3 type model: UCS, UR, UCS plus CR, UCR, then CS condition response, and CR condition stimulus plus condition response, CS CR. Educational implications, right, guys? So thank you so much. Today we have finished the 2 theories, right, guys? One is trial and error theory, and second is conditioning theory given by the Ivan Pavlov. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So, okay, ji, thanks to all of you. So you have got the notes, huh?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ji. Thanks to all of you. I'm going to stop the recording, huh?